Okay. Maybe you are sick of generative AI by now. I'd like to actually ask at the very beginning, I'd like to see hands. How many of you here uses ChatGPT? Hands, please. Wow. Wow, that's a good number. Let me tell you, how many of you has been sent someone that came to you and told you that they can actually create an LLM for you, a large language model? How many of you? Hands, please. Someone who came and said they want to sell you an LLM. How many? Hands. Okay, they're lying. I'm going to explain to you what I mean by lying, and I don't mean anyone specific, but here's why. See, everyone who spoke here today, they were talking about the differences between AI and generative AI, but they actually didn't give the difference. And I don't mean the people, but I mean this is actually worldwide. Everyone is talking about generative AI, and they're talking about AI intermittently. It's all mixed. The difference is generative AI or AI, they are but a tool. It's a very strong tool, yes, but it's only a tool, just a tool. Efficiency is what you can get from AI, but effectiveness is human. Keep that in mind. This only is going to be the one that explains to you if AI is going to take away human jobs and what have you. Yes, it's going to change jobs. Just like the computer. When the computer came out, if you remember many, many years back, everyone thought all these jobs are going to go away. And they did. But they were replaced with many more jobs. So I'll go back again. Before I start, I want you to remember this. الفاعلية والكفاءة. Efficiency and effectiveness. Effectiveness is human, will remain human, and will never change from being human. Am I far? I'm trying to change this.
Is AV guys?
Can you just take us to the next slide, please?
There we go.
Okay, so this is all about, let me just sum it up. Today I'm talking about cultural engagement, employee intelligence. And this is not the same as AI, artificial intelligence. This is actually human intelligence, and this is about employees only. So we're going to talk about how the biggest and the strongest tool that you can get from AI is actually it being a data-driven approach for putting the right employee in the right job. That's what it does. Next, please. Okay. So I want everyone to just look at this here one by one. This is probably the most important slide when we talk about data. Because what is AI? AI is a tool, as I said. It's a machine. It's a follow-through. But the data is the thing that you're actually betting on. So the type of data that you have makes or breaks whatever you're working on. So therefore, look at this. We will use data here to understand, measure, and improve the workplace culture. And you're thinking culture and machine AI, really? Yes. Because remember, culture is language. Culture is voice, audio files. Culture is images, video. And we can take all of that, and we work it, actually. We funnel it, we process it through AI. We enhance productivity, employee satisfaction, and retention. How do we do that? We're going to get into that. And we also predict. Here's the thing. Here's a very interesting point here, totally. The interesting point is that the prediction, and everyone thinks, how do we predict? Okay, and I was pressing the wrong one. By the way, it was my mistake. Okay, so here we go. Did I miss anything here? No, I didn't. Here we go. So here's the point. Now, 2 points. One is this. Please look at the unsupervised data. This is the real change in society in the whole world today. Unsupervised. And what I mean by unsupervised, don't look at the supervision on humans. I'm talking about on data, what we do inside. Someone here kept on saying that we don't know what happens inside. Let me tell you, I know what happens inside, because that's what we do. But what happens is, in a little while, I'm going to show you how we do it, so that you know what happens in the engine actually inside. So this is what happens. It's unbiased, objective assessment, identifies behavior. And you think a machine identifies behavior? Yes, we do. And it's not the behavior that you think. It's not making the machine behave instead of a person. It's only basically understanding the behavior. And this is just what we call clustering, which is segmentation. So we take this into what we call an NLP, natural language processor. Don't think language means only text. It's text, image, video, audio, everything. But we still call it NLP. Then we process it. Do you see the stars, the circles, the squares? Actually, they're not that. It's easy for you to understand them here. But what they are, they depict that kind of a place. And that's how they get clustered together. This is now the point about the behavioral segmentation. Machine learning, I will say again, machine learning. There's a huge problem today in the whole world. In the whole world. Trust me, I'm exposed. They don't make the distinction, and I'm going to show you step by step the difference between machine learning and AI and then generative AI. Very different. They work together, but they're very different processes, extremely different. So here, we talk about segmenting employees, imagine by engagement scores. So we can actually create scores. We score people by engagement. And we also go ahead and do the demographics, and it's not the demographics you think. This is, as we said before, unsupervised processing, which means it will take the whole data that you give it without any segmentation, nothing. And it will tell you all these people. So you will have a 60-year-old person, probably with Gen Zs, by the way. Very possible. But it'll be specifically with that name, with that person. So that what do we want to get out of that? We want to make sure that that person knows what to expect them, and also their management get to know what they expect of that person. So this, again, this is what we work on, like inside, when someone was saying behind and inside the engine. This is what happens inside the engine. But where most people have the problem is here. And I'm not talking about people who are consumers of what you're looking at. I'm talking about practitioners, people who work in the same field. They have a problem, and I'll explain what that is. This is the pre-processing and preparation of the data. See, it's always dependent on the problem statement. What is your problem statement? What are you trying to get? Then, when you have actually worked it out, you have to find out the functionality of the data. Is it functional? Yes? No? Up until you actually get the right features, and we do feature analysis. I don't want to get technical here, but that's all here, outside, even before putting it into the engine, if you will. But when we get into the engine, we start from there. We do that. Look at that. Immediately training and testing the model. Yes. So that shows you 70%, for those of you who like numbers, 70% is used in pre-processing the data and having it ready. And pre-processing and making sure that you have the right features that brings you and gives you the data, the functional data that you require for your specific problem statement. Then goes here. Then we do what we call a registration or managing a model, and that's a pipeline that we do. And then after that, we build an image. An image is nothing except a software. We call it solutions. We don't call it software. One thing changed and is not going to go back in this world as we know it. One thing here. And that is, one-size-fits-all software is gone. Gone. Now it is specific solutions as opposed to software. So then we go and deploy the service, and we monitor it. Deploying can be in the cloud, can be in-premise, can be hybrid. It depends. And then, look at that. The IDE comes last. So really, everything goes and happens not even here, but here. And that's how much I have seen. I don't know if you know. Anyone knows about RPAs? RPAs? Hands, please. RPAs. Did you know, and look it up, more than 70% of RPAs in the whole world don't work. This is why, if you wanted to know. So this is now, also some people were talking about structured and unstructured data. Well, I thought I'll give you something that explains it very directly. There is what we call internal to your company, and there's external outside. And that's where we have the unstructured on the right-hand side and structured on the left-hand side. Unstructured, internal, something like emails, letters, text, audio, transcriptions from call centers, customer comments, voicemails, corporate video, pictures, all of that. That is all unstructured. You have it in your system, but it's unstructured. Then we have the human-generated, unstructured also, content in social media, updates, but this falls into external. So what do? We go and scrape it. We call it web crawl. We scrape it from the internet, get everything, clean it up, process it, reprocess it, and then get it ready for sentiment analysis. Most of you know about sentiment analysis, but we don't do that. We go for intelligence. We go for deep intelligence, where this data speaks to us and tells us exactly what's happening. And then, here's what we do. You're going to see that we have a bimodal model, NLP model, which means we have external unstructured data, internal unstructured data, plugged, infused together with internal structured data. And that's the biggest you can get. Now, we work on LLMs just like ChatGPT. We do the same. But we don't do large language model. We do task-specific language model. That's the difference. So this is, I don't think any of you would like to read all of them. This is actually basically what we do as a step 2. And that's very deep intelligence. And for those of you who want to know, there was a price that was paid just like a month back now for a company who did open source intelligence that beat the CIA. That's a nice one for you. So what we do here is we go and we get all the information. You can see from the top here, usernames, all the usernames on the internet are actually available, doing it in the right way. We can actually get to that. We can get all the email addresses, domain names, MAC addresses, docs, social networks, instant messaging, everything you see here, we can scrape it. And we use it depending on what. We do intelligence reports, and that's how we do it. But in this case, we do it for employees. So you get all the information. For instance, 5, but they took like 3 or 4 minutes of mine. Okay. Okay, so I'll try to go fast. So quantitative data is what we take. The biggest thing here about NLP and about generative AI, which I'm going to get to, is really transforming qualitative data, all of it, and infusing it with quantitative and making it all quantitative, because it's much easier for the computer to understand quantitative numbers. Okay, so organization goals, personal goals, because I have to go fast. Can anyone spot the problem? This is all right. This is all right. But they're apart. What's missing here is the driver. And why do I say it when I'm talking about AI? Because that's exactly what we get. We get the decision-making tools that are not seen by the normal eyesight looking at data as you do it every single day. Okay, so now, objectively, watch that, objectively, revolutionizing the 360-degree assessment. This is what we do. We make sure that an analysis of an open-ended feedback. This is for the employee, and this is where the employee can do it in total privacy. The employee can get all the information, do the whole 360 that all of you know about, and no one is looking outside. No one knows. But then we infuse that with quantifiable scores for them, their own score. And then we give the organizational scores within specific fields. And so they can actually look at it with the benchmarking. They can benchmark that and see how they're doing, how well they're doing. So that's a score, for instance. This is out of 500, for instance. So what we do is we go ahead and do a benchmark score. For each one of these, as you can see here, there's a score, a separate score for that. And that is organizational level score. And then you can watch yourself within that category and see how you fare with the rest of the organization. These are also different scores. Activity-wise, I just showed you that previous slide, but this one here, basically, there are no limits. It really depends on the organization, on what they are looking for. It depends on their vision. It depends on their time in space and how they're doing and what they are actually looking into and getting into. We got into a company, for instance, here, who was very much now into HSE. HSE. So they left everything else, and we had to go and work on HSE for them. Someone who normally would actually work on the HR as a whole, but they wanted to specifically because they were ailing from that issue at the time. Again, fast, online surveys, feedback. We take all of this information. Emails, communication analysis, sentiment analysis, behavioral analysis. So here's what we do. We do, as I said before, unsupervised, and we get the behavioral analysis, and then we do supervised now, next. And that's how you get really deep into intelligence. Again, this is the bimodal, and this is where you can get the holistic view. I mean, really, there's no more holistic view to get about the employee and for them to get about themselves than this one, where you can actually get everything. Again, what did you feed into it? That's exactly what you're going to get. So if you didn't feed some values, you won't get them. So obviously, it depends on the information. And this is true in everything. If you try to go and put something into ChatGPT, well, it depends. If it's not fed into it, it won't give it to you. It'll only give you whatever is fed into it. This is, again, data privacy and hallucination. And this is us talking about ethics. Anytime we talk about AI, people talk about ethics. We understand that. And how do we address ethics? One, we manage the sensitivity that the employee has, because this is a person. And this is their information, their details, their personality. Everything is inside. So what we do is we make sure that they're actually very much clear about the process, how it's going to be, what do they expect, what should they do, where are they exposed. All of that should be clear beforehand. And look what we do here, and this is true for everything, not only for employees. We strip the entity identifiers. No name, by the way. And this is, yes, 360 has a name, but that's theirs. That's theirs. But in the system, though, in the engine behind, no names. They're stripped of the name, no identity. Then we do domain-specific. Remember, how many of you know about hallucination when it comes to ChatGPT? Hallucination. Okay? Do you know what hallucination means, though, really, in practice? It's a out-of-context probability. That's what it is. So we try to do what? We try to do domain-specific. So in this case, for instance, it's very specific. Has nothing to do with anything outside. So the context is very much relevant. And this is where again, these are challenges. These are real challenges. There is no AI, no generative AI. No one can address. Humans will always have to address these points. The only thing is that how can you employ AI? I will not say generative AI. Generative AI, by the way, for all of you, is for extraction, is for ideation and extraction of decisioning tools, these two. So what it does, really, generative AI, it predicts the next word. That's how it does the prediction. But that's it. But then you have to have some basic knowledge. You have to have some basic data. That's why if you went and did not look at the effectiveness, you might end up having something very fast and very powerful, but for nothing. That's where effectiveness comes into place. Social engineering, and why am I pushing this in the middle? Because you, more than anyone else, need to know about this. Social engineering is the biggest problem that's being faced right now, and it's growing even more so when it comes to hacking. And so the hacking is no more by machines. Trust me, we do that. We've seen the machines. We deal with the machines. We do red teaming, and we understand what happens there. But that is social engineering, where someone comes and actually they clone your voice and they use it to get things, whether it's your bank account or your secretary or your colleagues, let alone all your messaging and the way that you speak. And this takes us to the last one, and I just want to keep this for you. Sound?
AV team, can we have the sound, please? Okay. Sheikh Khalid, I think it's not, the sound's not working, so.
We're moving on anyway. So this basically, you're just looking at the different ways that social engineering has actually really picked up very, very fast, and it's taking very different ways now that, people are, if anyone wants to guess how many new tools come every week in the whole world, we have a place where we all get and gather there. That's what we know. How many do you think? How many tools? New tools every week. How many? Number. Any number. Shout. 100. 2,000. 2,000. Yep. That's big. Okay. So with this, I'm just going to jump it and get to the next one. And I say thank you for listening, and I hope that I have given you some good data and good information for you to take with you. Thank you.